Verily I say unto thee, in truth this time, this will be the last one for tonight, okay? It's 1:44, and with a 15-minute limit, I can be in bed by 2 a.m. I've got a big day with the visiting family tomorrow. But the march towards progress for my now home state of Florida and the entirety of our nation will continue throughout my waking hours forever, because this finding out that, number one, there's an organization that will pay the fees for you to run, and knowing that we as a country and we as a state and we as my local community of Jacksonville are experiencing a ton of shifts at every time in our lives. We've all got very similar problems, and being a solutions analyst, I most certainly believe that I am equipped to solve all of these. And if it's done with diplomacy, if it's done with discussion, conversation, and legislation, then that's what I'm here for. And really the initiative to echo a rather comical speech I heard made by another person that ran for office. These bills really need to be short. If we're talking about something really important about the general populace of our country, then it needs to be to the point, and it cannot be filled with asterisks. It cannot be filled with meaningless gestures, ones that do not concern what's currently being discussed. And they need to be extremely public. One must read a bill that is being proposed in any measure aloud, broadcasted, and available to the entire American population. That's democracy, giving everybody a hand in all of the decisions that affect us all. Because if 80%, if 85% of the population votes that we shouldn't be providing universal health care, that not everybody should be able to walk into a doctor's office or be taken to a hospital, a serious medical facility in their times of need and be seen, then we truly know the type of society we're living in, and no, we will not pass that measure. But shockingly, when a massive portion of the population says, yes, I would love that, and having to read the entirety of the legislation you're providing covering medical care for the entire country and the system you seek to implement is discussed in a half an hour to an hour's length, and everybody is in on it, well then, I feel like if you are having this conversation and there's nothing tied to it on the side that becomes part of the Constitution afterwards, we say here and now, look, we have the administrative capability, we've built the massive engine of logistics and bureaucracy that help us run this whole beast, and we're going to use it efficiently. If there are millions of people that need jobs, why aren't there millions more jobs in the government? Because everybody knows there's an area here or there or traditionally that is a holdup, that is slow and inefficient, and there's plenty of minds out there that can provide the answers. I will come to discuss much more in the future how exactly we deconstruct the measure of educating everybody and providing a broad, efficient, and productive way of introducing American citizens at all levels of intelligence, all throughout their lives, into integrating into a society that is digitally literate, that can read, that is knowledgeable about the history of the entire world, has a straightforward understanding of our country, about how politics works, about how civics works, and are civically literate when it comes to living as a citizen and doing the black and white and taking care of themselves before they step out to pursue higher education, before they choose to travel abroad, before they choose to make decisions and choose leadership based on their knowledge of A, that person, and B, the background concerning the points they're discussing and the role they want to play. Now, you can look into my background and you'll pull up a whole lifetime of stuff, probably, from achievements in my youth, through troubled times in my teenage years, through my naval career, through my time over the last nearly a year since I've been out of the Navy, and just see a progression of many periods of semi-chaos, bad judgment, learning experiences. And I really came into my own in the Navy, seeing that everybody in the world was very similar in terms of the things they need, of the things they want. And also my blossoming understanding. I'm very thankful for my level of intelligence and cognition, that I've been able to put aside the problems that most people have concerning their morality, the things that are controversial about them, the things they don't like about themselves, the things they don't like about other people. I have surpassed all of that, because realizing it does not matter is incredibly key to being at peace and to being able to solve problems. Once you are no longer overwhelmed by the challenge a problem faces, you can construct a solution. And the matter of speed and straightforwardness in creating solutions is the key to those solutions coming to life. And I have learned this through many decades of experience, and will continue, without holding back any bars, to make strides to present them at the highest levels possible. If I could talk to a billionaire who had, and by billionaire I mean somebody who literally had a case of United States dollars in 20s, banded and like very Hollywood style, had $1 billion sitting there in a big chest, and just had a stream of people from across the world come in and explain why they deserved it, I would totally walk out of there with that case. 100%, because I have always claimed, and will continue to claim, even as it comes into focus and becomes my reality and my life, I bring the future. The future is something that's thought up, and our history books and our oral knowledge that has come down through the ages tells the story of individuals all throughout our super, super long-ass timeline of people that took charge, that had the idea and the willpower to enact what they thought the world should be like, and in some cases that was absolutely disastrous. In fact, in many cases that was absolutely disastrous in the long run. The fact that we evolved into groups that held individuals in sway, in authority over millions of lives at most of our timeline, chunks, is crazy, only because in 99% of those societies, those people who were held as the figurehead, as the authority icon, blatantly said they got it from God, and that they were a bloodline that would have to be eternal, and coincidentally they would have to live in absolute luxury, never want for anything, and govern through their opinion and their desire the lives of massive populations of people. I can't even begin to imagine sitting on a throne and knowing that the lives of hundreds of thousands depended on me, depended on if I said the individual in charge of those other few 100,000 people really pissed me off at this huge banquet feast I sailed over with half my Navy to attend. I really think it's time that we have to put on all the steel. Hey, get it on. Make more arrows. Tan more leather. I'm telling you right now, get the grain. The people don't need to eat. We need everybody's money to pay for this. Yeah, even you out there in the farmlands. As a matter of fact, give me your crops and give me those coins too. You'll get it back later. I promise. Your grandkids will get it back when everything's better and this war is over. And people just sort of were like, you can't say, oh man, that's pretty shitty. I mean, I got 3 grown sons and now they're all going to die. Most likely I'm going to die. If the other people make it here through me and the people like me that are going to pick up these weapons and fight, I guess I'll leave my empty farm here for the people that aren't going to listen to this shit and hide out and become bandits and outlaws. they'll probably come through and rape my daughters and my wife and take all my shit that I don't have because, the government took it all. The king took it all, or the queen needed it all. And while I'm out getting killed and my sons are dying, then my home structure can be totally annihilated. Because we're all out here fighting other people that we don't know who are coming for the very same reason I'm going, who don't want to be there, but see an opportunity to make a little bit more money if I can survive by hawking the equipment of the people I've murdered in the name of whoever really, of course, got the power from God to do it. Do you realize this is the year 2016 and that is not how it's done anymore? And this is what we're attributing to our leadership today. And to me, who has come to an understanding about the legislation and its history from the beginning documents to our current day, and who wants no part of being in the legacy of those destroyed trying to change that, I'm only saying that we have way more efficient methods, and there's ways to continue to live with the population and, the small portion of the population living in absolute luxury, having, pretty much sway over everything. Y'all can continue to do that. And the people that are going to live to eternally sustain the lifestyle of this, elite queue, we'll live good too. We don't have to live like y'all, but at least we'll be living good. At least, crime will be unnecessary. I really think there's many legislative points that we could make with ease across a federal level to let states do whatever they want on the lower tier of things that ever come up for states to discuss. I feel like if an individual state says they don't want to offer universal health care and they'd rather do it the traditional way, that's fine. And the people who want to live where there's free health care can leave out of those states. But I think we are much more able to provide an umbrella of support. Now, if you're telling me that's not what government's for, then you have to concede the government isn't for anything. And you can't change that it's there, and I'm guaranteeing you're going to get killed if you try. And since I'm interested in staying alive, I'll offer solutions that lets us, keep going and improving without any need for that whatsoever. And that sounds good to me, and it should sound good to you. And I suppose this message should be submitted more towards the state of Florida. But if I'm not going to say anything different to the citizens of Florida than I am to the citizens of the rest of the United States or the denizens of the world. In fact, when you elect somebody to represent everyone, you should be electing somebody to represent everyone. And you got to know that if somebody's trying to get into the government and eventually come to a position of absolute authority and responsibility, let's not forget, a much more crucial aspect of the spectrum you got to deal with as a president, you got to know that I'm looking to have the same straightforward conversation with everyone in the world, because that's who you're dealing with when you're the president, okay? Because kings got to sit in castles, man, and people got to go die for them, and gold got to sit in his treasury. And he pretty much did whatever he wanted, whether the money was there or not. And that's how we ended up living in a world where the money's not really there, and everybody just sort of does what they do with it, for the most part. But there are a ton of people with a ton of money in their hands, and the world isn't great. And my X-factor understanding is that nobody else is thinking about this quite the way I am. And there is somebody out there who could sneeze and $100,000 could fly out of their pocket and they would continue walking because it was absolute nothing to them. And to those people out there, if you exist in the confines of the United States of America and would be interested in providing a sneeze worth to somebody who would then immediately utilize it to expand the community and the audience that I would interact with, being everybody of the United States of America, to tell them there's a way it can be better, there's a way it doesn't have to change, there's a way that the burdens of life in the modern world could be so much less of a distracting factor to you if you give me the time of consideration to let me be a part of our government. And that's why I say Dave for Senator has no question mark anymore.